What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and I've had the iPad 2018 edition that does support Apple Pencil for about 1 week now. You've seen I did a comparison between both the Pro 10.5 and the 2017 edition, and I gave my first impressions on this tablet. In this one, I want to share with you basically my final thoughts on it. You know, I've been using it a while now and what I think, and this is going to be quite interesting to see what it really does offer here in 2018. So let's get into that. So tablets are in a weird place right now with the new iPad coming out. You know, why I say this is because of the phones. So take a look at these two. Both of these are, for a better word, well, they're large. And when you have a phone that is starting to get very big, this is the iPhone 8 Plus, and then we even have a rumored iPhone 10 coming later this year that's gonna be even bigger than the current gen. You know, people start to question, if you're only gonna put a mobile OS on a tablet, is this really worth it? Because it's basically a blown up iPhone. I've been thinking about this a lot in the past week, and you know, while phones might not be accepted in schools, really, what's the difference between a phone being accepted and an iPad? They can both do the same exact things. So Apple has been targeting the education market with this iPad. That's at least what the event was all about. And actually, when I was in college, I used to use an iPad 2 many years ago, and I could put myself into perspective of a student because I did use my iPad for schoolwork sometimes, but it was only as a study tool. It was never able to be used as a full-blown productivity tool. And I think fast forward many years later, that really hasn't changed too much. Well, while you do have better applications these days, such as Microsoft Word and Sheets and things like that, and Google Docs as well, you know, it's still a little bit cumbersome to type on this smaller screen over long extended periods of time. Manipulation without having a real mouse, the pencil does a decent job, but not having a real mouse and keyboard, you know, right out the box with this tablet makes it a little bit tricky. So this tablet, if you are going to be using it as a student, I think that you definitely need a keyboard with this thing if you're going to try to be productive with it, because just touch alone is nowhere near close to a laptop in my personal experience. So if there's one area that this iPad will excel, that is the display. With the Retina display, this is definitely better in terms of quality than what you're gonna get on any Chromebook in the same price range. Most Chromebooks cannot touch the Retina display on the iPad. It's very accurate and it looks very great no matter what you're doing on it. So this is an area that will shine even regardless of the fact that it doesn't have a laminated display. This is one area that I still think that overall, if you are to buy this tablet, you're gonna be very happy with it. Okay, so when it comes to the body, essentially what this feels like to me is a blown up iPhone Plus. So if you've never had an iPad Air, Air 2, you know, even a iPad Pro, this thing is gonna feel like, you know, any other iPad never before it. But if you've had one of those, it's gonna feel like, you know, same old iPad. On the whole, Apple really hasn't changed the design up at all with this tablet, and to me, it's a rather boring update. That's just me because I've seen many iPads in the past, and they didn't do anything out of the ordinary to change it up at all. It's just a classic, solid iPad design. Now, one thing I do want to note is that this thing is not water resistant. At least some Chromebooks do have water resistant keyboards in case kids spill things on the keyboard. If you spill some water or stuff on this tablet, you might actually damage the components, so keep that in mind. It's not quite as rugged as some of the Chromebooks out there, and those also have lids that can shut over the screen so you could potentially protect that display. So this thing's a little bit more vulnerable to damage than, you know, a competing Chromebook would be, but overall it definitely feels a little bit more premium than those products as well. So when it comes to performance, it has an A10 CPU, which makes this thing pretty much fly through everything it does. Now, it's not a huge update over the last gen A9 iPad, but it does give you enough of an update to make, you know, multitasking a little bit better. But you know, most people, for what they're gonna do on an iPad, I don't think will ever actually use the amount of power that the A10 Fusion can give you. It's definitely more than what you get on a Chromebook, but at the same time, you gotta remember, Chromebooks don't really need that much power because they are running Chrome browsers. This tablet kind of does need it because it's running a bunch of applications. Some people are gonna play games that require that A10 CPU, but with the lack of 4 gigs of RAM, you might run into stutters if you are doing like a ton of, you know, multitasking on this tablet, like multiple apps open and you have 3 browser tabs open with, you know, 2 side-by-side split screens. You might run into some issues there, but other than that, everyday applications and just opening one at a time, which you should be doing anyway because most people cannot cannot focus at 2 things at a time, this tablet will be fine in everyday performance. And in my week using it, it hasn't lagged up once. So how do the cameras do? You might be wondering. Well, one thing this tablet doesn't offer, guys, is a flash. So there's no flash on this thing. Say hello to the camera. Let me put that on some selfie mode. You guys can get in there. Say hello to the camera. I am shooting this on a phone, as you can see right there. Galaxy S9 Plus shooting this. But no, these cameras are not going to do the trick when it comes to taking anything beyond just a simple photo here and there, a casual photo. Maybe it'll work for some fun applications on the App Store, you know, those photo booth where you stretch your face and stuff like that. It'll be a fun camera for that. But anything beyond that, like your phone, will always take a better photo than this tablet. Now, the A10 Fusion does give this tablet a little bit better processing in the camera, so the processing after the photo is done, after the fact, will produce a little bit slightly better images than the iPad of last year. But it's nothing that's gonna blow you away. It's still an iPad, and still I think to this day you don't see that many people out and about taking photos like this on an iPad. It's just not convenient. So the cameras are not that great. An 8 megapixel on the rear, a 1.2 on the front, and this is just, again, something for casual taking, nothing that you're gonna use for your work or anything like that. Now, one area I could tell you I've been extremely happy with the performance of this iPad is the battery life. If I take this thing off to school, this thing is definitely gonna get me through the full day. So the battery life on this thing is fantastic. If you want to know some real numbers, about 11 hours of usage time. So think about that. That's pretty good battery life. If you're using your tablet that much, I don't think you're in the real world at all. You're only in the digital world. And then, well, I don't know if you're gonna get home safely from school. So basically, that's basically it. The battery life is fantastic. You know, even if you're not using this tablet for school, if you're picking one up for yourself, you're gonna be able to game on this thing all day, no problem. Take this on a plane, go on a trip, it's gonna last. It's just a great tablet for battery life. So thumbs up when it comes to the battery life. It's actually better than my Pro 10.5. A couple other things about this tablet. The Apple Pencil that was included does work surprisingly good. Actually, this pencil works a little bit better than what I've seen on the iPad Pro 9.7 in terms of latency. It's a little bit better than that one. So has basically the same touch sensor as the Apple iPad Pro, and it's gonna get the job done. But you're gonna have to pay extra for this pencil, and it still has that odd charging design where it comes out the end of the iPad. But the Apple Pencil does have great latency. It feels really much like a real pen, and it does have a charging port right here that charges the battery very quickly on the pencil, and the pencil does last quite a long time. So if you do decide to get the pencil, it is a good feature to have, but you might want to get an accessory like a case that can hold this pencil. So I want to talk a little bit about the audio experience. I am playing a video here. So now you do have the saturation mode that really punches up the saturation on the Can you hear that? XL. Overall, I think the display looks great as long as you're not looking for... It's not that loud of a tablet. It gets, loud enough to hear, in the quiet room, but if you try to play this in a loud environment, you're not gonna hear it at all. Or if you wanna share this, one of the persons you're sharing it with might be like, can't hear that too well. This is no Pro. It doesn't have the 4 speakers. It has 2 on the end. That's it. But it does give you a headphone jack at least if you do wanna be that headphone user. Definitely gives you that. So audio, not that great. So what are my final thoughts, the conclusion on this tablet? Well, here's how it goes. I think that this update is kind of boring, to be honest with you. I think it's still a great value. This tablet offers good value because never in the history of Apple iPads could you get an iPad with this much power and this much flexibility at this price point. But again, it still runs iOS, so it doesn't run what a Surface runs, for example, so the productivity factor can still be questioned. A Chrome OS, laptop is gonna give you a keyboard built in, sometimes a spill-resistant keyboard, and it gives you all the Google services that you would ever need to get productive. It's gonna be cheaper for students and teachers for the classes because you can get some at like $199. You can even find them on discounts for $99. And I think that until Apple can get this tablet to a price point of about $250 to $299 and include at least a keyboard in the box, Chrome OS has nothing to worry about when it comes to the Chromebook market. This is not even going to touch that. But for those of you who want an iPad, or you want an iPad in your school and you never were thinking about buying a $500 iPad, this offers a solid value. You cannot go wrong. But if you're an iPad fan and you're just waiting for an all-new iPad, I would suggest waiting till June when the newer iPads are announced with potentially all-screen designs. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, enjoyable, do me a favor, click that like button for me. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Make sure to have notifications turned on. I do have a giveaway coming up at 200,000 subscribers. I will catch you all in the next one. Be sure to be well. Nick here, and peace.